didn't choose the underworld, it chose him. They say when the world was divided among the sons of Kronos, Zeus took the sky, Poseidon the sea, and Hades, the realm of the dead. That's what they want you to believe, that he was cast down into the shadows. But that's not the truth written in the old stone. Hades was not banished, he was appointed, chosen by a draw, yes, but not by chance, by design. For the other gods feared what they could not master, the power that exists where all things end. They called it punishment to make you forget it was purpose. They named him the god of death so you would never see him as the guardian of balance. He did not build his throne out of ambition, but out of obedience, the kind born from knowing what must be done even when no one thanks you for doing it. His crown was silence, his kingdom, truth. The banishment of Hades was no exile at all. It was an agreement between gods to place fear under rule, to cage what terrified them and call it justice. So they made him their scapegoat and erased the pact that kept their heavens clean. When you hear of his wrath, they tell you it's the fury of darkness. But what if it's the fury of the forgotten? What if his silence was never absence, but restraint? What if in every shadow you fear there is a king waiting to remind you that endings are part of order? Because sometimes what feels like rejection is divine redirection, and the throne you never wanted is the one built exactly for you. Your blindness hides your becoming. Like Odin gave his eye for sight beyond sight, Hades gave his light for truth beyond illusion. He teaches that wisdom isn't gained, it's remembered through loss. The eye you give up is the illusion you cling to. What he saw, you are meant to awaken, worshipped by none, yet feared by all. There was a god whose name few dared to speak aloud. They spoke of Zeus in the open air, raised songs to Apollo beneath the sun, poured wine to Dionysus beneath the stars. But to Hades, there were no hymns, no temples, no hands lifted toward the depths, because they were told he was to be feared, not revered, that his realm was a punishment, that darkness was something to escape, not something that guards what light cannot endure. But that is the lie. The gods of Olympus didn't erase his worship because he was evil. They erased it because it made men unafraid. They knew if mortals ever learned to stand before Hades without trembling, they would no longer bow to the heavens. They would see that death, silence, and endings are not curses. They are gates. And gates once opened can never be closed again. He did not need temples because his altar was everywhere life ended and began again. The soil that swallows you, the night that holds your dreams, the silence that meets your prayers before dawn, all of it belongs to him. The Olympians buried his worship to sever your bond with the unseen. They wanted your prayers pointed upward, never inward. Because to call upon Hades is to remember that the gods are not above you. They are within you. And the moment you remember that, their order begins to tremble. Hades was never the god of death. He was the god who kept it. He guarded the boundary, ensured the balance, and bore the weight no one else would touch. To the living he looked like an exile, but to the soul, he was sanctuary. And so he became the king without a prayer, the ruler whose silence outlived every song. When the world refuses to see your worth, you become what they fear to look at. You stop seeking their worship and start embodying your truth. You realize that sometimes being unseen isn't punishment, it's protection. Your blindness hides your becoming. Odin gave his eye to see what lies beneath illusion. Hades gave his name to silence, to hold what others cast away. Both teach the same truth, that what the world rejects in you is the part that remembers who you are. The blindness is never loss, it's transformation. And what you lose to the dark is never truly gone. He rose from the abyss to claim what was his. There was a day when the ground trembled and the sky forgot its order. The mortals saw only terror, the earth opening like a wound, the chariot of shadows rising from below. But this was not wrath. It was remembrance. For too long, Hades had watched the world from beneath, unseen, unpraised, uninvited into the warmth of worship. He had kept the balance in silence, held the souls that fed the cycle, guarded the laws that even Zeus could not break. Yet when he looked upon Persephone, he saw something the world had hidden from him, the part of life he was never meant to touch. They called it abduction, but it was the awakening of the forgotten. It was the moment the underworld reached for the living, and the living answered. Hades did not steal her. He remembered her. He recognized in Persephone the reflection of his own exile, the light that belonged to the dark. She was not dragged down screaming. She was called to remember who she was. Queen of two worlds, born from the union of death and spring. They rewrote the myth to make you fear that calling, to turn devotion into domination. Because if you ever saw what Hades truly represents, the force that binds desire with transformation, you would no longer separate love from change. You would understand that every passion is a descent, that every awakening costs you the innocence you thought was truth. They hid him because he mirrors what they fear most in you, the hunger to become whole, to claim every part of yourself, even the ones buried under shame and silence. When Hades broke through the earth, it wasn't to conquer, it was to correct. To remind the gods above that life without death is madness and death without love is emptiness. That is why they cast his story as cruelty, so you would never see the beauty in your own descent, so you would fear the very thing meant to awaken you. Love is not always gentle. Sometimes it drags you into yourself, forces you to see what you've been running from. It tears open the surface and makes you bloom where no light should reach. That is what Hades teaches. The courage to embrace what transforms you, even if it breaks the sky. Your blindness hides your becoming. Odin gave his eye for sight. Hades gave his solitude for truth. Both cross the line between what is known and what is real. Odin teaches that wisdom is remembered through loss, and Hades proves that love is remembered through descent. The eye you give up is the illusion you cling to, and what they both saw, you are meant to awaken. Even the light needs something to swallow it. Before the first dawn, before Zeus raised his thunder or Poseidon carved the sea, there was silence. It did not speak. It did not move. It simply was. And in that stillness, Hades waited. He was not the god of death. He was the god of return. Every fallen leaf, every broken body, every forgotten name, all of them he received, not to destroy, but to complete. Because creation, no matter how radiant, needs an ending to remain pure. And that ending was his kingdom. They called it the Underworld to make you look away, but what they hid was the truth. That life feeds on death, and death feeds on life. Every god, every creature, every heartbeat, all of them borrow their power from what Hades holds. Even the light needs something to swallow it. They never wanted you to know the underworld was never evil. It was the foundation that made light possible. If you ever understood that, you would stop worshiping only what shines. You would begin to honor what ends. And in doing so, you would no longer need their heaven, because you would carry it within your own descent. Hades' silence is not emptiness, it is nourishment. It is the dark soil where everything that falls finds purpose again. The gods above feed on worship, but Hades, he feeds on balance. He does not demand praise, only order. He does not crave power, only peace. And that is why he was buried beneath the earth, not to punish him, but to hide what they feared you would discover. that you are made of the same silence. Every loss you've endured, every part of yourself you've buried, they are not gone. They are roots. They grow beneath your surface, unseen, feeding the new life you've yet to become. Death is not the end. It is the correction of imbalance, the pause that allows creation to breathe again. And if you can accept that, you'll see that endings do not destroy you. They restore you. Like Hades, you are both the destroyer and the healer. You carry the power to end what no longer serves you, and in doing so, give birth to what must rise. Your silence is sacred. Your descent is divine. The darkness you fear within is not a curse. It is the womb of your rebirth. Your blindness hides your becoming. Odin gave his eye for wisdom. Hades gave his voice for balance. Both understood that what you lose willingly transforms you completely. Odin teaches that wisdom is remembered through loss. Hades teaches that peace is remembered through surrender. The eye you give up is the illusion you cling to. And in that letting go, you awaken what has always been waiting to rise. His rage was never loud, it was eternal. There are storms that roar and fade, and then there is Hades. He does not strike like Zeus, he does not rage like Poseidon. His wrath does not thunder, it waits. It waits until every lie has eaten itself, until every false god has forgotten its promise, until balance demands its due. When mortals defied the laws of life and death, when gods themselves broke the order they swore to protect, it was not the heavens that restored it. It was the silence below. It was Hades. His anger was never about destruction. It was about correction. Where chaos rose, he returned it to stillness. Where life ran from death, he reminded it that one cannot exist without the other. The other gods feared his fury because it did not serve pride or hunger. It served truth. It did not burn cities. It dismantled illusions. And that is the wrath they never wanted you to know existed. A wrath that heals. A wrath that clears away the corruption that even the divine tried to ignore. They buried the myth of his wrath because it reveals something forbidden. That divine anger can be sacred justice. That sometimes peace must wear the face of fury to restore what love could not. And if you ever learned that, you would see your own anger differently. Not as a flaw, but as a force meant to cleanse, not consume. They wanted you to believe wrath is chaos, that control is lost in rage, but Hades shows the opposite. His fury is not noise, it is precision. It does not destroy what is good, it devours what is false. His silence, once mistaken for apathy, is the measure of a god who waits until the scales tilt too far, and then restores them with one breath. And when that moment comes, even Olympus trembles. Because every god knows that nothing stands when truth demands balance. True wrath is not losing control. It is reclaiming it. It is standing in your own power when the world mistakes your calm for weakness. It is the moment you stop asking for fairness and become the balance itself. Like Hades, you learn that peace without justice is only another form of decay. And when you finally stop apologizing for your fire, the false gods within you begin to fall. Your blindness hides your becoming. Odin gave his eye for wisdom, but Hades gave his stillness for truth. One sought sight through loss, the other sought order through silence. Odin teaches that wisdom is remembered through loss. Hades teaches that power is remembered through restraint. The eye you give up is the illusion you cling to, and when it's gone, you see that wrath was never about anger. It was about awakening. They prayed in secret, fearing his mercy. There was a time when his name was not spoken in temples, but in whispers. Not with songs, but with breath. Not with light, but with tears. Because those who called upon Hades did not seek favor. They sought release. They were the forgotten ones, the mourners, the outcasts, the ones who felt the pull of something older than hope. They knew what others refused to see, that Hades was not the god of endings but the keeper of return. They called him the silent redeemer, the one who waits beneath the world not to punish but to welcome. And yet his name was erased, his worship forbidden. Because if men ever learned that death was a homecoming, not a curse, the fear that fed the gods above would starve. No one would beg Zeus for mercy if they knew Hades was already offering peace. Ancient priests disguised his worship as taboo, not because it was dangerous, but because it was true. They cloaked devotion in secrecy to protect what power it carried, the knowing that liberation begins where fear ends, that the descent into the underworld is not the loss of life. It is the discovery of what was never alive to begin with. They hid him because he breaks the illusion of separation. In his realm, kings and beggars walk the same road. No gold, no title, no prayer can buy your way through his gate. All that remains is truth, naked, eternal, unashamed. Those who whispered his name knew this. They prayed not to escape judgment, but to remember themselves. They knew that Hades was the mirror beneath the surface, the one who returns you to what you were before the noise of the world began. Your shadows are not your enemies. They are your ancestors calling you back to the place where you were first whole. They do not haunt you. They guide you. Every fear you refuse to face becomes the gatekeeper of your awakening. And when you finally walk through that gate, you realize Hades was never waiting to claim you. He was waiting for you to come home. Because if you ever understood that death is not destruction but transformation, you would stop worshiping fear. You would live with the freedom of one who has already died. And the world cannot control what no longer fears the end. Your blindness hides your becoming. Odin sacrificed an eye for wisdom. Hades sacrificed his place in the sun for truth. Both entered the darkness willingly, and both returned with light the world could not understand. Odin teaches that wisdom is remembered through loss. Hades teaches that peace is remembered through surrender. The eye you give up is the illusion you cling to. And what they both saw, you are meant to awaken. Your darkness isn't punishment. It's initiation. They told you to fear the dark within. They told you to call it weakness, sin, punishment. But Hades has waited through every age, watching mortals curse the very power that was meant to make them whole. The underworld was never a prison, it was a mirror. And every soul who ever fell into its silence was not lost. They were being remade. When Hades moves, he does not come with fire or wrath. He comes with memory, the kind that breaks illusions and rebuilds what you forgot you were. Every descent you've ever faced, every heartbreak, every collapse, every night you thought would never end, was not your destruction. It was initiation. Because Hades' kingdom is not beneath your feet, it is beneath your skin. It rises when you stop running from your endings. It breathes when you stand inside your grief and refuse to turn away. They feared that you would understand this, that you would see that death is not an enemy but a returning, that the underworld is not darkness but depth. So they buried his truth under fear, chained his name to terror, and painted his realm as punishment. All to keep you from realizing that the gates of the underworld were never closed, only forgotten. And when you finally walk through them, not downward, but inward, you will see what Hades always knew, that what you called the end was the beginning remembering itself. If this truth stirs something ancient within you, don't let it fade. Like, comment, and subscribe. Not just to hear more stories, but to remember what your own soul has been trying to tell you all along. The descent begins the moment you listen,